Alright, so what we're going to do today is we're going to start by creating our own one-point perspective drawing in which we are going to create a room. So everything is going to come to one point on that paper and create a one-point perspective drawing. So the first step that you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler and you are going to lay it flat against your paper, and you're going to go from the top left corner down to the bottom right corner. You want to split this right dead in the middle. You want to make sure that you're holding your ruler, making a nice straight line. Okay? If for some reason you don't make a straight line, you're going to have to revisit it, and you're going to have to straighten your lines out again. So, next step, you're going to take your ruler and you're going to do the same thing but the opposite way. So we're going to go from right top to bottom left. You want to make sure that your line is exactly in the center. Now, as you're doing this, you're going to have to use the bigger metal rulers, okay? When you start to make your other lines, you can switch to the clear rulers. But to start out, you need to start with a metal ruler. Alright, next step. I have already created templates for you that are going to help you find your point, center point of your one-point perspective. So your next step is you're going to line this piece of plastic up over the top. Let me get a different one. Right on top of your X, so that your lines match up as best they can. Okay, and then you're going to trace that box. So you're going to go all the way around the box, all the way each side. The bottom, and then the left side. So now at this point, you should have a box in the middle of your X. Now, our one-point perspective is going to be here. This is going to be our vanishing point. Okay, this is where we always want everything to end up. So as we're creating it, we want it to end here every time. Alright, now, next step, what you're going to do is you're going to start to create your floor. Now, in order to do this, you need to use your clear ruler, bring it up to the bottom, and at each of the inch marks, you're going to put a tick mark. So, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Don't forget 11. These are going to be what is going to help you start making your floor. Now, every time you make your line, it has to go to the vanishing point. Every time, no matter what. So I'm going to start out with my ruler, and I'm going to put my pencil on the vanishing point, and then I slide until I get to that line. Once I've gotten to my line and gotten it lined up, I'm going to start drawing my first line. And once I get to the bottom of my square, I stop. Okay? I'm going to slide it to my next one. I'll always go to my vanishing point, slide it over to the next spot, and then I'm going to go up. Just like that. Stop at the X, at the bottom of the building. The bottom of the wall, excuse me. I'm going to put my next one on, leaving my pencil in the vanishing point so that I know I'm lined up. Bring it up, and I stop at the bottom. Same thing, go back to my vanishing point, slide the ruler, make my line. Vanishing point, slide my ruler, slide my ruler, make my line. vanishing point, slide my line. So you're going to do this all the way across your paper until you've made a line for every one of those inch marks that you have done so far. So it should be a total of 11 lines. All the way across. I'm going to slide the paper, make sure my ruler is on my vanishing point, draw my line, and then I do one final last line, and we're done. So now, at this point, you can start to create your floor. So if you were to leave it like this, it would make it look like a long floor that continues on, and you could turn that easily into a hardwood floor, or you could turn it into something that is more of a kind of checkered floor or a tile floor. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how to do that now. So what you can do at this point when you're here is you can take your ruler again. I'm going to turn my paper vertical just to make it a little easier for me to use. I'll zoom back out for you. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to make my lines that go across and divide this up, because I want this to be a tile floor. So I'm going to start out and think of it like this. The closer something is to you, the larger your lines are, and the further it gets away from you, the smaller they get. Okay, so I'm going to start out here, and I'm going to do my first one about right in here. So I'm going to dissect that all the way across. Then I'm going to slide it back a little bit more. I'm going to do my next. Slide it a little more. But I'm making them slowly closer to each other. Not making it as far back as I did the one before. So that it looks like as things are traveling towards my vanishing point, they're getting smaller. Because just like a normal landscape, or even when you're outside, when things are further away from you, they get a lot smaller the further you go. Okay. And let's do one more. Okay, so that's one example of how you could create some kind of tile floor. Something like that, you could come back in, color in every other. Okay. Okay, so that's one kind of flooring that you could do. Another kind of flooring that you can create would be a hardwood floor, or something like you might see in your kitchen or something like that, where you have planks of wood instead of just normal tile. Alright, so let's look at that. Let's look at how we can do that. So we're going to jump ahead. I've got another example for you. So same kind of thing. We're going to do this very similar to as how we would do the tile floor, but instead what we're going to do is do different sections. So if you've ever looked at a hardwood floor, you've noticed that it's different in slides. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to turn my paper a little bit again, and I'm going to start out, I'm going to put my first one, and I'm going to do it somewhere around here. So I'm going to start out, remember, as you're doing your line, you need to be using your ruler. I'm going to start out, I'm going to do a line here. Then I'm going to skip. I'm going to do a line here. Then I'm going to skip. I'm going to do a line here. I'm going to skip, and then I'm going to do a line here. I'm going to skip and do a line. Skip and do a line. Now, at this point, it looks like I have lines that continue and skip the alternating one. The next step, I'm going to go back up in the same row that I've already put those in. I'm going to continue. I'm going to do the top of the board. So I'll do a line, skip, line, skip, line, skip, line, skip, line, skip, line, skip. So now at this point I've created something similar to that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide my ruler in one more time, And in between these lines, I'm going to do a third set of lines. Now, it's going to be on the ones that I originally skipped. Oops. So now what you've created looks like a wooden floor. Okay? So that's one more way that you can do it. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is how to create a window. So in order to create a window, it's the same thing just like you would do anything else. You're always going to start by first creating a vertical line. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to draw a line from here to here, because I want it to be a fairly large window. And then it's always going to go back to my what? Vanishing point. Exactly right. And then I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to draw my next one back to my what? Vanishing point. Exactly right. And then I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to draw my vertical. So now at this point we've created a window. You can come back in, you can add in your marks to make it look a little bit more realistic if you want it to divide it a little more. To make it look like a large glass paned window. Okay, you can also come back in and you can do a casing around it if you would like. Remember, our lines always go to our what? Vanishing point. And then you can connect the tops to make the rest of your window casing. So now at that point we've created a window. Now let's create a door. So the final thing that we're going to do now is create a door. So in order to create your door, you need to do the same kind of thing. So first thing that we're going to start with again is going to be a vertical line. So I'm going to put a small little door back here in the corner. So I draw a vertical line, then I draw my line to my what? Vanishing point. I'm not going to take this all the way to the edge, but I'm going to stop just before it. And then I'm going to do my next vertical line, so that now I've created a door. And at that point you can come back in and you could add in a doorknob, something like that. Okay? You can come back in again, and you can even add in some casing around it. Our lines always come to our vanishing point, just like we talked about before. Okay? So now at that point you've created a window and a door. Now, if you wanted to create something else that kind of looked maybe like a coffee table or anything like that, you can do that another easily way by also making another vertical line. Now, the first thing you're going to do is start by making one vertical line. You're going to slide your ruler over however wide you want it to be. You're going to make another vertical line. Just like so. Then, The next step that you need to do is create the other sides. So you're going to draw your next line from here. Actually, let's do the top first. And do the bottom. So we start out with a box. So then we're going to draw our lines to our vanishing what? That's right, you said it, point. Okay? And we're going to draw our next line to our vanishing what? That's right, you said it, point. Always to our vanishing point. Then we're going to take it and we're going to connect it across, and then we're going to get rid of everything in the middle. So that you can't see through it. Then, final step, another vertical, and then we draw our line from the top. So now at this point, it looks like you have created some kind of box. Inside your drawing. So then you can come back in, make smaller lines, can actually add sides to your coffee table. You can come back and fix your floor to make your floor look realistic again. To make it look like it was never broken. Okay? So now at that point we've created a table. So that's another one of the things that you can do with your one-point perspectives. Okay? Create a coffee table or some kind of other kind of piece of furniture. Now, another thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to create a piece of furniture that would rest against the wall here. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to first start out with another vertical line. And then I'm going to start out with another line that goes to my orthogonal. I'm going to make it the length that I want my dresser. And then I'm going to make another vertical. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my next orthogonal. Or excuse me, my next vertical, not my orthogonal. That's going to connect to make the side of my furniture. Then I'm going to draw the base, which is going to go to my vertical. That will be the other side of my dresser. Always going to my vanishing what? Point. What this will do is allow for you to create all of your drawers. And then last but not least, your vertical. Final step, erase your vanishing point. Now at this point, you have created the interior of a room.